Hello and welcome. Find a comfortable place, a place where you can rest and let the world outside begin to fade away. We are going to drift back, far, far back, carried on the gentle current of time's great river. Feel the gentle rocking of a boat, floating on the timeless waters of the Nile. The air is warm, filled with the scent of lotus blossoms and dry sand. The sun has painted the sky in shades of soft rose and deep violet, and the first stars are beginning to appear like tiny diamonds scattered on dark velvet. We're traveling to the land of Egypt, a land of quiet majesty and sleeping stone. We are going to listen to a story that the river itself remembers, a story whispered on the desert wind. It is the story of a woman who became a king, a pharaoh named Hatshepsut. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to be. Just breathe and listen and allow the story to unfold like a dream. Breathe in and out, letting every breath soften your focus, letting your body grow heavy and still. In the heart of the golden age of Egypt, during a time of immense peace and power, a princess was born. The land was rich, the gods were content, and the mighty empire felt eternal. Her father was the great pharaoh Thutmose I, a powerful warrior. Her mother was the great royal wife, Ahmose, a woman of pure royal blood. And so, the baby girl, Hatshepsut, was born into a world of gentle reverence. From her first breath, she was surrounded by the soft rustle of linen, the quiet footsteps of servants on cool stone floors, and a distant, sacred chants from the temples. Imagine her as a child, in the royal palace, perhaps in a garden hidden from the heat of the day, a garden filled with pomegranate trees and shady sycamores, the sound of water trickling from a small fountain, the buzz of a honeybee moving from flower to flower. She learned the stories of the gods, the tales of Isis and Osiris, of Horus the falcon who soared high above the world. She was taught that her bloodline was special, that the gods themselves had blessed her family. Her name, Hatshepsut, meant foremost of noble women, and she was. In this peaceful, protected world, she grew graceful and intelligent, watching the slow, unchanging rhythm of life along the Nile. The sun would rise each morning, a great, warm disk of gold, and the people would begin their work in the fields. And each evening, the sun would set, sinking below the western hills, into the land of the afterlife. Day after day, season after season, a slow, predictable, and comforting rhythm. Hatshepsut learned this rhythm, felt it in her very soul. As was the custom, for the blood of the pharaohs was sacred and must be kept pure, Hatshepsut was promised in marriage to her own half-brother, also named Thutmose. It was her duty, her destiny. She became a queen, the great royal wife. Her role was to be the quiet presence beside the king, the symbol of the divine feminine that balanced his masculine power, just as the moon balances the sun. And so she lived, a life of quiet ritual and soft-spoken duty, within the sun-warmed walls of the palace at Thebes. Life as queen was a quiet dance of ceremony. She stood behind her husband, the pharaoh Thutmose II, a supportive shadow, a gentle presence. Her days were measured by the soft chiming of sistrums in the temples and the murmur of prayers to the gods. But her husband, the pharaoh, his life was not destined to be long. Like a candle flame that flickers and fades, his reign ended. He passed into the western lands, leaving Egypt with a question. The next pharaoh was just a child, a little boy, also named Thutmose, the son of a lesser wife. He was too small to rule the vast kingdom. Egypt needed a steady hand, a wise heart to guide it while the boy grew. And who was wiser? Who was more royal than the Dowager Queen, Hatshepsut? It was her duty. And so she stepped from the shadows, not as a ruler, but as a caretaker, a regent. Imagine her in the great halls of Karnak Temple. The pillars are like a forest of stone, reaching up into the cool darkness. The air is thick with the scent of incense, frankincense, and myrrh, a scent that has filled these halls for centuries. She walks quietly, listening not just to the priests, but to the silence between their words, listening to the needs of her land. She governed with a soft touch. The kingdom remained at peace. The harvests were plentiful. The Nile continued its life-giving flood and retreat. All was in balance. For a few years, she was the perfect regent, a mother to her young stepson, and a mother to all of Egypt. She ensured the world continued its gentle, predictable rhythm. Everything was as it should be. But in the quiet of the nights, under the vast, star-filled sky, perhaps she thought of her own divine blood. She was the daughter of a great pharaoh and a great queen. The blood of kings flowed just as strongly in her veins. She began to believe that she was meant for more than just watching over someone else's throne. It was a quiet thought, a seed that slowly began to grow. And so, a slow, quiet transformation began. It was not a violent change, but a gradual unfolding, like a lotus blossom opening its petals at dawn. Hatshepsut began to tell a new story, a story for the ages. She commissioned the great artists and carvers to tell the story of her birth on the walls of a beautiful new temple. In these gentle pictures of stone, it was not her earthly father who created her, but the great god Amun-Ra himself, the king of all the gods. The story shows Amun-Ra taking the form of her father and coming to her mother in the quiet of the palace. He tells her that she will bear a daughter, a very special daughter, who will rule Egypt with wisdom and grace. It was a story that said she was not just chosen by the gods, she was of the gods. With this divine story wrapping around her like a protective cloak, she slowly began to adopt the titles and the image of a king. It was not about denying that she was a woman, but about taking on a role for which there were only male symbols. Imagine the sculptors in their workshops, the gentle tap, tap, tap of their chisels on stone. They carved her image, and slowly they added the false beard that all pharaohs wore. They carved her figure in the royal guild. They showed her making offerings to the gods, not as a queen standing behind, but as the king standing before them. She became King Hatshepsut. Her co-ruler, the young Thutmose III, grew beside her. She did not cast him aside. She simply became the senior king, the sun to his moon. She was the shepherd of Egypt, and she guided her flock with a peaceful, steady hand. There were no great wars, no loud conflicts, just the quiet, confident assertion of her right to rule. Breathe in the stillness of the temple and breathe out any tension. Feel the solid stone beneath you, ancient and calm. Let the quiet story of her rise to power be a gentle lullaby, a story of quiet strength and deep, peaceful conviction. King Hatshepsut's reign was like a long, peaceful afternoon. The sun was warm, the air was still, and the land was prosperous. She was not a pharaoh of war, she was a pharaoh of creation. Her passion was to build. She commissioned the most beautiful temple in all of Egypt, a masterpiece of harmony and light, called Djeser Djeseru, the holiest of holy places. It was built into the cliffs at Deir Bahi, its terraces rising like a staircase to the heavens. It glowed in the morning sun, a vision of pale, perfect limestone against the rust-colored mountains. Imagine walking through its long, cool colonnades. Your footsteps make no sound. The pillars create repeating patterns of light and shadow, a calming, hypnotic rhythm. The walls are covered in delicate, colorful paintings, telling stories. One story tells of a great expedition she sent to a faraway land, the land of Punt, a land of myth and legend. Her ships did not carry soldiers, they carried gifts. They sailed peacefully down the Red Sea and returned not with prisoners of war, but with treasures of peace. The paintings show what they brought back: wonderful, fragrant things, sacks of myrrh and frankincense, exotic animals, and most precious of all, living incense trees, their roots carefully bundled in baskets. Hatshepsut planted these trees on the terraces of her beautiful temple so that the air itself would be a constant, sweet offering to the gods. Her reign was a time of art, of creation, of gentle trade, a time of quiet prosperity. The kingdom was safe, the people were content. It was a golden time, guided by the steady, peaceful hand of the female king. The land flourished under her patient care, like a well-tended garden. After more than 20 years of peaceful rule, King Hatshepsut's time on earth came to a close. She died peacefully and was laid to rest as a king in the sacred Valley of the Kings, that silent, protected place where the pharaohs slept their eternal sleep. After she was gone, long after, her stepson Thutmose III ruled alone, and later still, someone tried to erase her. Her name was chipped away from the monuments. Her statues were broken and buried in the sand. They tried to make the world forget that a woman had ever been king. But you cannot erase something so beautiful. You cannot bury a story so powerful. The desert sand that was meant to hide her instead protected her. It kept her statues safe from the wind and the sun, and thousands of years later, when the world was ready, archaeologists found them. They pieced together the fragments, and slowly her story came back to life, a whisper from the past. But for tonight, we will let her rest. Imagine her spirit at peace, free from the duties of a king, free from the weight of a crown. Perhaps her spirit floats on the gentle waters of the Nile, under the soft light of the moon. The story is over. The day is done. The world is quiet now. All that is left is the gentle rocking of the boat, the soft breeze from the river, and the deep, peaceful rhythm of your own breathing. There is only rest now, only stillness. Let the story fade like a pleasant dream, and allow yourself to drift deeper and deeper into a calm and peaceful sleep. Good night.